The system class contains some methods and objects that you can use to talk to the system and do some system-level things. The one thing that you're probably most familiar with are the three static print stream objects named out, air, and in. Now, these are streams that are already open when your program starts running. By default, both out and air, known as standard out and standard air, go directly to the display, and in, known as standard in, comes directly from the keyboard. If you're on a Unix system of any kind, either of the output streams can be redirected by the user to another location. On a Windows system, only out can be redirected by the user. You can redirect any or all of these from inside the program by calling one of the three methods and replacing the standard input or output stream object with one of your own. However, if your program is being run with some kind of security limitation, it may not be permitted and it may throw an exception instead. You can change the security setting by installing a new security manager, which is done by calling set security manager. Of course, the existing security manager could prevent this if it doesn't give you permission to replace the security manager. This method could also throw a security exception. You can also retrieve a reference to the current security manager and check the permissions yourself. All the methods of the system class are static, so it is never necessary to create an object of the class. Also, the system class is final, so it can't be extended into another class. This is the other system method you're likely to be familiar with. Calling this method will bring your program to a halt, but it has another effect that you may not be aware of. This method actually halts the entire Java virtual machine, so all other threads are halted by this same call. You can copy all the contents of an array into another array with one method call. You specify the two arrays, the offset into each array of the first source and the first destination element, and a number of elements to be copied. The source and destination arrays can be the same array, and the areas in the array can overlap one another without any confusion. The data is first copied out to a new array, then copied back into the new location. This method requires no arguments and will return the current system time to the nearest millisecond. The time is a long value that's the count of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970, and it's in universal time. Of course, the return value is no more accurate than the clock of the computer system on which your program is running. The call to GC will cause garbage collection to take place immediately. You usually don't have to do this, but you may find a situation where you need garbage collection to take place. This was more important in the early days of Java than it is now. The modern JVMs are much smarter these days. The getProperties and getProperty methods can be used to retrieve property definitions. These will return in groups of one or more at a time the environment settings under which your program is running. You can also define property values by using these method calls. When an object has been claimed by the system and is being prepared to be recycled, its method named finalize is called to prepare it for recycling. A call to run finalization will cause an immediate call to all finalize methods of the objects queued up for garbage collection. The most commonly used items in this class are the standard input and standard output and the exit methods. Probably the second most important are the methods that provide access to the properties. This gives you access to the environment in which the program is running.